Okay, I wish I could say a very good morning, but unfortunately, it's not a good morning from here in Miami because I know a lot of you are eagerly waiting for the India versus Canada game to start, but that start has been delayed. What we're getting to know now is that there is going to be another inspection at 10:30. Remember 10:30, I'm talking about local time. 10:30 was going to be 8 p.m. India time, and that was also the time for the match to start. And now you're only going to have an inspection then, which means that even if the inspection is good, even if the umpires are happy, and I'll explain to you as to what are the issues that they will be dealing with in that inspection, but even if they are happy with the inspection, that would still mean that the game is not going to start before at least 8:30, 8:45 India time. That's the earliest that you can think of the game starting. Earliest that you can think of the game starting. Now, what is the delay about? First, let me give you a bit of a weather update. It rained yesterday, as you know, quite heavily in the evening, and that's why the USA Ireland game was washed out because of that heavy rain that we saw. That happened in the evening, and within an hour of rain, and it was only 1 hour of rain, and within that 1 hour of rain, the entire area got flooded. In fact, if you were watching our broadcast, you would have realized that I was finding it tough to even walk in and around the ground. Now, this is the ground at Lauderhill where the match is going to be played, and it was very tough to even walk around. So puddles had formed outside the ground. So it was heavy rain, all right. But since then, and it's about 18 hours already, or more than that. Actually, it's been 20 hours since that time, since that rain came down. 20 hours, it hasn't rained. For those 20 hours after that big pour that came down, it has not rained. And yet we have a delayed start. And yet we are having an inspection at the time that the game was to start. And that, I think, is unfortunate. We saw this unfortunate scenes play out yesterday as well, where there was a good 4.5 hours of dry spell, sun shining, where you could have had the game, but you could not utilize because the ground wasn't ready. And by the time those 4 hours gotten over just to prepare the ground, the time had run out and the game had to be called off. Pakistan eliminated, USA go through. Today, it's a similar scenario where it's not rained now for 20 hours, yet the ground is not ready. Now, what's the problem with the ground? There is a part of the ground where we are, you could say it's around the third man area if the game is to start, or maybe even a deep point somewhere between third man and deep point. That area where there is a wet patch. Now that was the problem area yesterday as well. Rest of the ground they could dry, but that particular area there has been a wet patch which the groundsmen are finding it very tough to dry, and they use the super sopper. Super sopper, as you know, is a big machine that drains the water out, and it throws the water out. And yesterday the super sopper was hard at work draining the water. It was proving to be effective, yet that one particular area they could not make it completely dry for the game to happen. Today, the super sopper's job is done. The super sopper does a macro level job of removing water, but I think there's still some dryness below, for which they are using these big industrial blowers, these big sized industrial blowers they are using. It's like a vacuum cleaner sort of a thing, but a much larger size, a much bigger size. They're using that to dry that particular patch of the ground to ensure that the game can start between India and Canada. I did see a few players come down, just check the area, so they are looking and monitoring. The fielding coach in Teeth Dilip also came down and monitored that particular area to see if that is good enough for the game to carry on. But right now, as I said, the situation is not ideal, and we have an inspection in exactly about 24 minutes from now. 24 minutes from now, there will be an inspection, and then they'll take a call. So earliest that you can start is maybe an hour, roughly an hour, if they are happy. What happened yesterday? Going by what happened yesterday, the umpires kept doing inspection, but that one particular area they could not drive. Now I'm sure there'll be a lot of question marks, in your mind as to why that one particular area, even though it's not rained for 20 hours, could not be dealt with. Few things they could have done, which they haven't. Maybe have these plastic covers that you see in India, Sri Lanka, a lot of other places, which cover the entire ground. It's a very inexpensive solution. It's not a lot of gizmos that you need for that, not a lot of high tech material. It's just simple plastic covering that you need. And if you were to put that plastic covering, you could have ensured that certain areas don't really get wet. That's not something that they've done. Secondly, the ground staff at play here is also very limited. I can at best see about 10, 12 guys. That's all the ground staff that they have here. If you go to other prominent cricket playing countries, India, Sri Lanka, and so on and so forth, you have a army of ground staff. It takes me to the Asia Cup in Sri Lanka. If you remember, there was a lot of rain expected there. They had about 60, 70 member ground staff at each ground, whether it was Palakele, whether it was in Colombo. And that ensured that even though you kept having rain there on and off, yet the ground would stay dry. One, they had those covering, those blue coverings that you now see in India as well, that cover the entire ground. That, and secondly, the number of people at work. In terms of security, USA has done a great job. I see security at multiple checkpoints. There are hundreds of security guards around, but only a handful of ground staff. If they could reverse that situation, have limited security and lots of ground staff members clearing it, maybe the situation would have been different. What you feel a bit bad about, and you feel pity for the fans that have turned up here. I met already a lot of Indian fans. Yesterday also I met a lot of USA fans. You're trying to promote the sport in USA. Fans turn up and you don't have a game even though you have a 4-hour dry spell. And that's how you lose interest in the sport. You're trying to pique the interest of the fans slowly and gradually. But then you have these kind of situations, then people lose interest. That's one area. Secondly, in terms of Indian fans, they've traveled from across USA, paid good money to watch this game, but you can't have a game because of one patch that you see, and you foresaw this situation. Rain was expected. Maybe you could have looked at a few things. That's not been done. And certain other venues I can understand because those are temporary. This is the only one permanent sort of a venue that you have in the USA. You remember the Indian team have played a few games here. KL Rahul, I think, got a century here 2019, if I'm not mistaken. So this is still a regular stadium in that sense, not like what you created in New York, which was brought down. This is still a regular stadium. You have cricket. There's a regular ground staff here that looks after the pitches here for the entire duration of the year. And yet, you have a situation where you can't prepare a ground where it stopped raining for large amounts of time, 20 hours, no rain, yet you can't fix that. For the Indian team also, I spoke to Indian fans and why they're disappointed. Some of them told me that, listen, after this, India has not played a game now already for a few days, and then the next game is still further away on the 20th. That's a long gap, 8, 9 days, and they are craving to see the Indian team play. And that gap can only be reduced if you have a game today. And while it's an inconsequential game, Canada out, India have qualified. I know inconsequential game, but you must remember fans want to, pay good money to maybe watch Rohit Sharma play, a Virat Kohli play. One, in terms of the tournament, you want some good form going forward. Secondly, for the fans, I mean, their days made, doesn't matter the context of the match. If you see a Virat Kohli 60, 70, a Rohit Sharma 60, 70, their day is made. That's what they come here for. One, it'll of course help these players get into form, and there are a few boxes that India would like to take. Maybe even try their bench strength. This was an opportunity to do that because you've qualified. So all of that made this match very important. But if for just one area of the outfield which is wet, you can't have a match, I think that's pity. That's unforgivable. I'd even go so far as to say that. So pretty sad scenes. It's not raining. Good news, the weather forecast, it's not expected to rain for the next 4 5 hours. Rain is expected to come here in the evening, by which time the match time is anyway over. So that's a bit of good news. You can hear a bit of a cheer now, and that cheer is for Indian players coming out. They're coming out and seeing the ground condition. That's encouraging for the fans. At the moment, they can only see that. So that's the latest update. Karan Rathore saying, "Are you coming to Barbados?" Of course, Karan, I am going to Barbados. That's for sure. Just finishing 2 minutes, then let's go. Okay, a lot of you asking about Shubman Gill and disciplinary issue. Listen, what we've gotten to know, a lot of these reports aren't very accurate, and so there is no disciplinary issue at all. It is some sort of misreporting. The team management decided to send a few players back. Avesh is also going back. It's not just Shubman. and this was pre-decided. So please don't pay heed to the rumors. We did speak to a few people, in the know of things. That's as far as I'd go to tell you who we spoke to, and they've categorically denied it that there's any sort of issue with Shubman Gill. So don't pay heed to any rumor that you see and start judging a player and passing a judgment on his character or how he is. I think that is not fair. Not fair till you really hear it from reliable sources, and I'm afraid that is not the case at the moment. Okay, guys, thank you for your company. I'm going to say bye bye now. Inspection to be there in another 15 minutes or so. Tejas, thank you, yeah, for your kind comments for sports today. Lovely to have you guys. We'll be here throughout the tournament, traveling to the West Indies, and giving you all the updates. But Minder, I think you might see a change or two. I feel maybe a change or two you might see. Yeah, that's that. Match, Kushagra, I think match might happen. Only one area is the problem area. They're using those heavy blowers to clear that out. Go and check that entire video out. I've explained in detail what is the situation. Right now, I'm going to say bye bye. We'll be back when we have more to update once the inspection is done. You guys take care. See you soon. And yeah, subscribe to Sports Today. Press the bell icon. That's when you know as soon as I come up with the next update. Yeah. Okay. Bye bye. Thank you for all the love.